Lead Time is a weekly dose of leadership insights and interviews from Tim Allman and Jake Bessling. Lead Time is for any leader living in a busy world looking to be inspired, equipped, and empowered to lead others to their fullest potential. This is Lead Time.
Welcome to Lead Time. My name is Jake Bessling here with Tim Allman. And we have an amazing guest today in Leslie Scott. And we also have Maddie Haase here that's a part of our Christ Greenfield team that we all three just had an experience with Leslie at Dairy Queen. Her and her husband own and operate 2 Dairy Queens in the East Valley of Phoenix, Arizona. And we all have a Dairy Queen story. Not store, but story. I mean, right? I wish I had a store. But we all have maybe a childhood memory. And so, for me, it was working in a warehouse with my dad. And every day, Will was his name. Will's like, hey, where are we going for lunch? And we didn't even have to ask that question. We knew we were going to the DQ. And so we went to the DQ. Mine was a banana shake I'd always have. And it was Texas heat, July. I would get so tired. I'd fall asleep in the warehouse. Don't tell my dad. But that's kind of my DQ story, and I love that smell of you walking Dairy Queen.
My DQ story is members at our church growing up owned a Dairy Queen, getting on my bike, riding to the DQ, getting a Blizzard. Yeah, you see 8-year-old Timmy, right? Riding and getting a DQ, and then telling the owner, member at our church, put it on my tab, please.
That is crazy.
So the Allman family had a tab at the DQ. Next level.
Are you paid up?
I think we're good. We're square. But we just want to give you a little bit of a sneak peek into what that looked like, and then we'll tell you the why. So take a look at our DQ story.
There are 3 reasons. 1, we want to support local businesses through COVID-19, kind of crazy. 2, we want to have fun and support Leslie Scott family. They are unbelievable partners in the gospel at Christ Greenfield. And then with all of the heaviness in our world right now, I don't even have to say it, we just want to bring a little bit of joy and lightness in Jesus and failure and dipping cones and all this stuff. And then most importantly, I really wanted a free, I'll do anything for a free DQ Blizzard, so that's about it.
So the biggest thing with that whole thing
wow, that was amazing.
Is why? Why did you guys do that? Here is my quick why. In the midst of the heaviness, the chaos, the crisis it's all around, we wanted to have some fun learning what it's like to run a small business. We wanted to learn from one of the most epic leaders of young next-gen leaders, Leslie Scott. We just wanted to be there to soak in that culture, and we wanted to be stressed to learn new things. This is like one of the biggest things for me. How could the church experience, the way we discover, develop, and deploy future leaders, look more like the way you quickly develop 14, 15, 16-year-old kids into a well-oiled Blizzard-making machine?
Yes.
That's why we wanted to do it. Why else, Jake?
Yeah, I remember my youth minister in high school said, before you go to church work, go work at McDonald's. And what he meant by that was it's real people doing real things, and you can tend to forget in the church about what people are going through and what it's like to be a 16-year-old getting their first job, what it's like to be 36 and still working at that same job, maybe struggling with life, maybe excelling in life, and just real people. And so we met a lot of real people at Dairy Queen. They were awesome. They were teenagers all the way through adults, and their heart for helping and having a great product was outstanding. The byproduct of what I learned, though, is it's really hard work. I have a new appreciation, I'm sure you do too, for what it takes to be on your feet, to make that product of a burger or a Blizzard or a shake and continue to do it. And next time I'm going through the drive-thru, I'm praying for those people. Amen. I might be waiting, and I need more patience to say, man, unless they are goofing off, I'm not complaining anymore about those different things, but just really celebrating the people that serve us.
Yeah, it's awesome to see. We're in a people business, and people, myself, I'm always a work in progress. I'm always learning new things, always growing, adapting, being challenged. But it was really cool after a 7-hour shift from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. to say, we just crushed like, I don't know, 500, 700 blizzards somewhere in there, served 340 some cars coming through the drive-through. It was amazing. So let's go to Maddie first. What were some of your takeaways on our Dairy Queen adventure?
Yeah, it was just so fun to be able to work as a team because it was us and then Tim's oldest daughter. And it was just so awesome to be able to work in a place that we go to often. I mean, as a kid, I would go to Dairy Queen every birthday. We'd always get the Blizzard cakes. Those were the best, still are. But just to be able to take a step back and learn how to do a new skill. I had never worked in fast food, and so to just be able to walk in and learn that new skill was super awesome.
So, yeah.
I mean, it was daunting too. You looked at the chill side of things with all the ingredients, and there's all these recipes, and you're like, take a look because it's gonna get busy. And I was like, I thought we'd have like one of us per station with someone that's actually doing it, and we're just kind of shadowing him for 5 hours. But no, about 2 hours into this whole rodeo, you just kind of like were barking out the orders we needed to do, and we just coaching us along beautifully. And I can't believe we did what we did.
You guys did amazing. I'm just in
So
awe.
you're not just saying that though?
No,
Okay.
you guys, I mean, seriously, I would totally
Hire
want
us?
you on a Friday and a Saturday night. Would
If
be
we don't make this
awesome.
pastor gig, we got a job. All right.
No, it was amazing. I am blessed that you guys did this because it does give you guys a look inside of what we do. And you guys mentioned, as long as they're not messing around, but keep in mind how much laughter we had,
Right.
but yet we were really working.
You wanna have a joyous
right? You enjoy what you're
culture.
doing, and that's what I tell all my employees.
Yeah.
If you don't enjoy it, find something in life that you work and you enjoy it. But who doesn't like to make ice cream?
Right.
It's
and make
fun
other people
and it's-
happy.
Right,
'Cause you
exactly.
See, there were some people in the drive-through that we saw that, maybe you're one of them, I can't be too. You get it and you haven't even paid yet, or you're just like, you just got to get into it, and you get a smile on your face. It makes
Right.
people happy. How in the world did you get into, you and your husband, owning a Dairy Queen, much less 2 Dairy Queens?
Right. So our first one was up at Power and Broadway, and we bought that 15 years ago, so about 15 and a half years ago. And we actually, coming from Minnesota, so Dairy Queen's on every corner, right? So we're huge supporters of Dairy Queen. It's been around forever. It will be around forever.
Until Jesus comes back.
I think
DQ will be on the map.
It's in the new heaven, new earth.
Exactly. I was
mean,
going to say that. Yes. exactly.
Palaces,
Okay.
gold streets,
Yeah,
Dairy
so-
Queen.
Dairy Queens, every
We
corner.
actually drove by one. Never been up in the Mesa area. We were living in Gilbert, and said, we'd only been here a year, and said, that'd be a great thing to own is a Dairy Queen because it's always going to be here. And so we started looking into it. Chad kind of mentioned maybe you should work for one and see what you think. So I went and worked actually for Terry Cook in Gilbert for 3 months before we kind of put in our offer to buy this Dairy Queen. It happened to come up in the newspaper, this Dairy Queen for sale that we drove by. So it was a God-given thing. I mean, came up for sale. By the time we called on it, it was under contract. So we thought, okay, this wasn't meant to be. And a month later, it fell through. And it came back in the newspaper. Chad called on it, and it was up for sale. And we put an offer in, and 4 or 5 months down the road, we were able to acquire it and start working in it. So it was I believe, a God thing, and it was meant to be. And I always said I needed to work with kids, and I think I believe that was what was given to me because I had kids coming from horrible backgrounds, parents that just didn't care for them. So I became their mother, their counselors, their friends, and we built them up, and it was an amazing experience. So, and now we've got this other one for 3 years now.
You went from 3 months or so being a staff member at a location to buying one, right?
Yep.
Tell us about the early years of managing and
Yes.
owning a Dairy Queen, and then how you got differentiated in the roles of you and your husband, because Chad does certain things, you do certain things.
Right.
How'd that work out? And was there ever a time in the early years where you're like, I am absolutely done. Chad, we should not have done this, and throw in the towel?
Yeah. So the first 2 years is kind of I kind of gave you guys the rundown. First 2 years of owning it was a complete struggle. I learned more about drugs, and that was from my employees. I just didn't know anything about drugs. I was naive. We just didn't have it, coming from a small Minnesota town. And so we bought it in September of 2005, and those first 3 months was a struggle. Chad came from banking, was his background, and I was a stay-at-home mom just prior to that. And so he decided to quit his banking. He was going to be the banker basically for the business, the financial advisor, and he's such a handyman, so he does all the remodeling, the maintenance, he does everything. And so he was going to stay at home and do all the business part of it while I did the hands-on management. And so that was how the roles split out.
Okay.
But
you just mentioned you led with drugs, and so
Yeah.
what does that have to do with the early years?
So-
I mean, the employees are doing drugs,
right.
and you weren't used to.
So there were many nights that the first 2 years there were many nights, Saturday especially, that we would show up, and only me, my manager Natalie, that's been with us for the 15 years, and another employee that would show up to work on a Saturday night, and nobody else would. And so it would be just 3 of us working a Saturday. So imagine the other night with just you 3. That's it.
Oh,
Or me
bonkers.
and 2 of you. It would be horrible, right? So we went through that for many times. I had nervous breakdowns at the end of the month for 3 months in a row, and Chad would pick me up and just tell me it's okay. It's a new day. Let's start fresh. I was working almost 24 hours a day for those first 3 months. It was quite the ride. And I'd say over that time, my faith journey really grew because I needed to lean on God a lot more. Honestly, that was just, he's the one who pulled me through a lot of this time. And I've come to, even now, if 3 of us showed up on a Saturday night, it's okay because God's got it. And that's what I figured out in these 15 years is the deepest, darkest times, he was always there.
He loves ice cream.
It was amazing. So yeah, going into the drugs, I met one of the franchisees. He said, you need to hire a straight A student. And that straight A student will attract their friends.
One.
And just one.
Yeah,
And it will change that role. Yeah, the culture. And we did. And ever since then, it's been an amazing ride. I know what to look for. It's been great.
So you are amazing at coaching. You train 4 newbies in one, which is not something she does consistently by any stretch. But now, I loved what you said just a minute. Now I know I can do it.
Yeah.
Now I know I can do it. But you are so clear the way you helped me do a cone, which I did not perfect. I need to go back so I can get the 2, like we have a ball and then a ball on top
so
and then the
hard.
ring around the curl, there we go. So you train very specifically,
Hands-on.
patiently, hands-on for sure. So where did you kind of learn that style of hands-on leadership? Is it just come natural or?
For me, I learn better hands-on. I have to be hands-on. I cannot sit in front of a computer and learn things. I need to be out there doing it. And I just find that that's probably the best for a lot of people is to be hands-on, right? Then and there in the heart of it all. If you come in to learn Register, you're going to learn it when we're open because it's hands-on. You're getting that real live feedback from that customer and stuff.
And literally when your employee's like, yeah, she's really hands-on, I mean, you have to get your hands on
I'm
with
holding
mine
your
to
hand.
hold my hand
Yeah.
so that you get the swirl appropriately. And it sped up the process of training versus
Right.
just kind of watching 3 or 4 times and then
Yeah.
finally getting involved. It was right away.
I mean, they want us to explain, demonstrate, observe, coach, and assist, EDOCA. But I know, throw out my
That's good.
acronyms.
That's great.
But you got to get in there.
Yeah.
You got to get right in there and get hands in.
It accelerated the learning for us.
Basically, yeah. And you guys did great. So
Imagine
yeah.
if discipleship actually looked like that in the church. Right now, unfortunately, you've got people that are the trained people, and then everybody else are just the passive recipients. But the goal for you as a follower of Jesus is to move from a consumer of delectable delights, which the gospel is the best delectable delight. It's a free gift of salvation found through faith in Jesus. But then a partner, a contributor, one who sees and then helps, and then you're released to actually do. And that's what we got to experience in real time. Discipleship should look more like Dairy Queen.
And we learned a lot about how failure isn't fatal. Like, you could ask how many like cones I dropped in the dip, how many blizzards like
3.
I caught. But we laughed it off.
Yeah.
So how have you, through these years, you've developed people, like you developed and let us feel like we could do it. How have you developed these teenagers, and what are some of those joys and challenges with that?
Well, keep in mind, we're not all perfect. After your fails, I fail, right? So I dropped a cone too. We all make mistakes, and that's okay. And you cannot use that to reflect who you really are. I mean, we all make those mistakes. We learn from them, and we move on. And these kids, I think, having so much patience and showing them love, and it just goes so much farther. They also know, though, you guys know, in a stressful time, I'm not going to say it wasn't stressful, right?
Sure.
Because of course it was.
It was.
But I still can be firm, but yet at the end of the day, it's showing them love and mercy and grace, because at the end of the day, what do? We laugh it off and we move on. And it's, but my biggest thing is teaching them a strong work ethic. There is no standing around. Let's do things. There's always things to be doing,
Right.
and we need to be working. And so I want them to take from the job patience, showing respect to others, and having that really strong work ethic. And if I can give that to them, that's what matters.
There was a bucket on the side that is filled with clean water and then some just disinfectant. And I remember you saying that when we aren't taking orders and the screens say no orders right now, I mean, we're doing something. And so we're cleaning out everything. And so if you're a young person or you've been a seasoned veteran, but you've gotten honestly a little lazy at work, there's always something to be doing. Yes, take your time and take your breaks, but it is impressive if your boss sees you and says, wow, they're spending the time to do these little things to make it cleaner. And we saw that reflective in your employees for the most part.
And if you are a supervisor, manager, coach, pastor, give clear feedback. Lean into the conflict. Embrace the awkward, whatever you want to say. And you do that so beautifully. You challenge people. You can't have a healthy organization apart from leaders who challenge. Too many leaders are very passive. So I know that's a part of your personality, you know. You're more hands-on, you want to get it done and stuff like that. And me too, I think we share a little bit of the same DNA there. But for the leader who's pretty passive, any words of instruction to embrace conflict?
To embrace conflict, huh? I mean, you're going to always have it here and there. I mean, you're not always going to have those employees that are the same as you, right? Or they just, you just got to keep pushing them, talking to them. Really, it's, you got to understand them too. You got to open up and listen to them. Get that feedback. One thing you guys did, and you got right off the bat, was communication. I stepped out for a second and left you guys back there, and I heard, what are you going to make? I'll make this, you make that. And it was communication, right? You've got to have that with any of your leaders, any of your workers. You've got to be able to communicate. Hear their side of it and what they want. Take some of their advice. I'm not perfect. I ask them for feedback, what I can do better, and I've got to learn from it. So I'll take the criticism, but it's only going to make me grow. And I've done that. And that's what I'm hoping. In any conflict, you can have that open conversation, but it needs to be two-sided. So they need to be able to take the criticism and go with it as well.
You are a wonderful youth minister. I mean, you are ministering to young adults. And let's have you share a story of one of those young adults that stuck in there and now is gone through really the leadership development process at Dairy Queen in order to be a manager or supervisor. What would be one of those stories?
I have so many. And I love my team. I could not do it without them. And I'm just going to call them out. I mean, the Sutherland kids came. They come back on their school breaks. I've got Ashley, who's been with us 8 years total. I've got Dylan, who's worked with me for the 10 years, my son. Natalie, and she was, she will always be the one that stands out, only because she's been with us for 15 years plus 2 years prior. But we battled, bumped heads at the beginning because she was stuck in the old ways of the old owners and wasn't willing to change. And we'd have yelling matches, and it was one of those. I didn't want her to go, but yet we needed to find common ground to be able to work together. And it took a weekend for us to get away, for her to really realize, like, wow, maybe she does know what she's doing, and I need to follow that. And I came back, and it was literally after that, and it was 4 months in, we took our first trip, and I came back to her a complete different person, willing to do it my way, and it's been a great road.
Well, she
ever
runs
since.
your Power.
And she runs Power Road.
Right?
Yeah,
That's
she
amazing.
runs. She's the manager over there, and she runs it just like I would. And she's still learning. There's still little flaws that I continue to guide her, but that's part of. You're always going to learn something new. I still learn things new every day.
So are you counted the kind of main manager at the Higley location?
Yeah, so I'm kind of the general manager that oversees both of them.
Both of them, right.
And then you would go to Ashley, and she's my head manager along with Dylan.
And Ashley we hung out with Ashley some, didn't we?
Ashley was there.
She's great.
Yeah, she was there. Yeah, she came over and started guiding you guys.
So what are the titles and training then that you give to a lot of your employees? As Southern kids have kind of grown up into assistant manager, that kind of stuff. What does that look like? And do you have? I'm also curious to two questions. How much freedom do you have to kind of set that leadership development pathway?
Right. Well, I do a lot of, obviously, the hands-on training. So they come from employee to fan captain.
Fan captain.
Yeah, which is people that are above and beyond customer service level.
Yeah.
They are out there. They're happy all the time. They have great communication with the customer.
So how many employees, how many fan captains right now do you have in both
I like
stores?
that term, fan captain.
I love it.
Yeah, well, I did have two at Higley, and now I just have the one because actually the next step from fan captain will be a shift lead, which is under a supervisor. You're basically assisting the supervisors with duties. You're just not there alone. And then we have the supervisors and management team. So, Power, we've got 2 fan captains, and then they move from fan captain. Basically, they're working their way up to the shift lead. They want to be developed, right? And whether they have plans to stick around at Dairy Queen, at least they've got those skills to take elsewhere if they don't. So that's kind of the steps for it. Yeah.
At the top there, with management, do some of them turn into store managers ever?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like
They know the
Natalie,
culture,
we've
and they go
moved
all the way
out.
top.
We don't know what we never thought we'd buy the Higley store.
Yeah.
And it was just, again, another one of those God moments for us. And so Natalie, who you probably wondered where she was ever going to go with us, she's now running that store on her own. Now, does God have more future plans for us for another one? I don't know.
Yeah.
So who knows what would happen with Higley, right? So you always are planning possibly for the
You
future.
are the 4th largest, you do more sales at the Higley location than all but 3 other DQs in the Western region. That's from Colorado, basically southwest, from what you were basically saying. So, that's
a lot of ice cream.
impressive work. You've done a lot to get to that point. You're to be commended.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, but with all of that too, like we've seen with coronavirus and all of that, how has a couple nights ago, the store opening wasn't open. So how is that affecting you? How is that affecting just your spirit, what God is teaching you through this time?
We obviously it's changed everything from closing our dining room and our patio. We've now opened our patio, but our dining room remains closed. I am nervous for it. I have no plans to open anytime soon if I can stay closed with my dining room. We are doing a lot of business through drive-thru, as you guys seen, and you can run with less people. So, it's good. I am nervous. I had a friend, our family friend, who passed away of COVID in April. So that hit really close to home. So it's still, with numbers on the rise, why are we jumping in and wanting to open? I'm not going to open. And take that risk. I'm putting my customers and my employees at risk.
It's love,
and
right?
It's, right, and that's
to
exactly,
care for the people. They're in their cars, contained. They're all of them. There was a line of 15 strong usually, and everyone was really just happy to get their ice cream.
Right, exactly. So, and we can focus on better customer service that way, and just making sure our employees are safe. And
You
that's-
can see that care that you have for all of your customers that come through, and all of the care that you have for your employees too, that it really shined through when we were there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Your drive-through is the church's online,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
And the church's drive-through, the church's different gatherings outside. It's just
Journey groups.
Journey groups, yeah. It's just a different time, and you're pivoting, adapting in beautiful ways.
And we need to give a lot of grace to leaders and organizations, whether it be pastors or Dairy Queen owners, to see the way that they can best love the people around them and the community. Before we end, I wanted to ask a question about big data. So one of our values here at Christ Greenfield is we're people focused but data informed. And so you had a screen above us that had a lot of data on it. And let's apply that to the church. But what are you measuring? What's most important? And you're putting it as a scorecard in front of all of us to see. And so how does data play into the Dairy Queen world?
Well, you know, so we have our timer systems. That timer system is from the moment those customers pull up, from one, greeting them. It should be a 1 second, 2 second time to greet those customers. If you're at
Pull up
5
to welcome to
seconds,
Dairy Queen, you're talking the
instantly.
board, right up to the
right up to the menu board. You should be greeted instantly. So you're starting to get time there from how long you sit taking that order at the menu board, and it's not us, you know. Power's really quick. Those customers, you know, it's a whole demographic, different area too. Retirement to young families here in Gilbert. So I think with all the young families, the menu board time takes a little bit slower of a time. They're trying to decide everything, and everybody in the car that wants it, right?
I've been there.
And then you're coming to the window. You're still being timed. You're timed up until the time you leave that window, that drive-through window. And so it's important to have fast times, but also be accurate. Still, customer service level is up
The
there.
ice cream can't melt. I
Right?
mean, you were
Yeah,
telling us not to go too far.
Don't go.
Yeah,
'cause
you
it can
guys were
melt.
wanting to make
Yeah.
15 orders. I'm like, slow down.
They
Let's wait
just
till
got
they
through that. Yeah.
wait to
They
make the
haven't
calls.
paid.
They're 3 cars back yet. So
Right.
yeah,
It's a lot
so
to
it's
think about.
controlling that. But in order to do that, you've got to be pushing cars through, right? Because then, in the long run, the profit, all of that comes into play, right? The sales, everything is a part of that.
What's the biggest number? Like if it was one number that you are always watching, what would that be? And that
Overall. And it's not necessarily overall day, because it's really hard, because it could take one car to put you back. One car, Maddie, that probably took 5 minutes for the cone. But that's one car, right? And that ruins your overall day. But we go by the hour average. Let's look at our average. And if we can keep that under 3 minutes, we're doing okay.
That's awesome.
We also compete, as you guys saw, we have Power on there. So we compete with Power. That was 2 stores listed. And so we're seeing what they're doing and how many cars, and it encourages our
Healthy
employees
competition.
to also push. Yeah.
Let's apply that real quick as we end here to the church. What would it look like to kind of measure those things, and specifically on hospitality, that if you said 3 seconds is too long really to have this first greeting, if someone got out of their car at a campus, could you be a part of an unofficial hospitality team that stands out in the courtyard to make sure that someone's greeted within, 1 minute of them getting out of their car as they walk up?
Could you get on the website and try to engage people more on Facebook and YouTube right now as we're online? Try to start good conversations there. Ask good questions to help apply the learning. How else, Maddie?
Yeah, even including, for me, I'm the youth minister here, and including your youth, because just like
Yes.
Leslie, building up these youth and training them how to just reach out to people, because for me, even meeting new people is hard. So how do you have them meet new people and remember you're smiling that whole time?
You can't be afraid of people. That's just it. You got to get out there, and we teach them. I mean, you'll hear me. We have some quiet kids, and I'm like, I can't hear you. Adeline. I said, let them know you're making this. And she's like, I'm making this. I'm like, no, yell it. So we got her to do it louder, but that's just it. You got to have a voice, right? A voice to be heard. And it's great because we give them actually a 30-day customer, so the new people coming in, a 30-day customer service trial basis. And if you don't have what I look for,
That's interesting.
then we
huh?
probably will cut you loose. And I have yet to do that
That's a
because
great
by
caveat,
within
though.
that 30 days,
You fit our culture.
but you're also constantly coaching, right? You're never just letting them go. Hey, I didn't hear you greet them. One of you, I think you did, welcome to Dairy Queen. You know,
yeah,
after
I should have done that more.
Right, but that was
Yeah, right.
great. And that's what we look
that your
for.
family?
And that's what we look for when they walk into the store. And so we're coaching them, you know, hey, it's your turn. I want to hear you. So it's very important. You talk about greeting people in the parking lot. It is not, you could do it here at church, that 1 second greet. It's not about holding a whole long conversation with just one person.
Yeah.
It's
Noticed.
You always are taking notice of everybody. That's the same. I can have 50 people in my line, and I'm still going to thank every single one for coming in that's leaving. It doesn't matter.
Last question. You may have a number of parents of Adeline age kids, 13, 14, and they're like, could my kid work with the Scotts? What are the 3 characteristics that you would want to see in like a rock star employee?
Outgoing personality. You've got to be outgoing because in that outgoing personality, it's going to reflect on their customer service, part of it, right? Good communication skills, be able to talk. Eye contact, huge. And, you know, pleasant demeanors, obviously. So they come in, you know, it's not even that they dress professionally, but like be respectful, right? Dress respectfully and come in positive, happy. You want to be there.
That's awesome.
So give them a reason to hire you.
That builds a great culture. My last question as we close is, what was the most favorite thing that you had to make? We kind of leaned toward
okay.
I can't wait
That's
to
good.
do that. And so, yeah, what is your favorite thing to make?
My favorite thing, you know what? It's probably just blizzards. They're easy.
A particular
You can't-
one, or?
No,
Okay.
well, I don't like the Royals.
It's like naming your favorite kid.
I don't like the Royals. Right, you can't name your favorite. I just don't like the
because you have
Royals.
to like build the whole.
You have to make the hole. You have
I
to put
didn't
the
like that
topping
either.
in.
Yeah.
I didn't
never
like
got
that.
it right. Yeah, how
But-
about you?
I liked doing the cones, and I wanted to perfect, the swirl. But
And the dip. You go in with
really
a U, and then I didn't know that you go in. It makes sense, and then you pull it out and you let it drip. I went in,
drip, drip.
and then it just went like that, you know. So I learned a lot there.
There's just so much technique.
There's so much technique. I actually like doing shakes. The shakes were kind of fun. Yeah, super fun, super easy. Yeah.
Easy.
Banana split.
Oh, you
man.
rocked the
I
split.
loved
that.
it.
That was always
It
fun.
was,
I knew that.
it was cool to sit back. You're talking about creativity and just look at it and be like, that's beautiful. Because the blizzard, you can't see all that goodness in there, but the banana split, you could.
Peanut butter parfait.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
so-
Also one I really enjoyed, peanut butter parfait. Yeah.
Well,
And
it has been.
by the end of it, I gave up on the forms. I just said go for it. And
Thanks.
Man.
Yeah, you guys were so determined to make them. I just thank you guys. It was fun.
Thank
And-
you for allowing us
Yeah,
into your store,
absolutely.
and what a great way to appreciate for all of those people that serve us on a daily basis in the community, restaurants, fast food, businesses. And so support your local businesses. Start with your local DQ. Other organizations are great as well. And eat it up and enjoy
Yeah.
some great ice cream. So it's been a joy to be with you today. Sharing is caring. And maybe you'll find yourself at a DQ working behind the counter soon too. Peace.
And peace.
You have been listening to Lead Time with Tim and Jake. Please subscribe at cglchurch.org/leadtime. Thanks for listening. Tune in next Friday for another episode.